Hello and welcome to the Trade Ideas Market Recap for Monday, August the 18th. My name is Barry Anderson. I'm the moderator of the trading room. This is the address to get into the room. Let me bring up the charting program. And today was a very slow day. I was off last Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm not really sure what happened. I did not look at the market at all. But today was very slow. If you've seen some of my videos early last week, and I think towards the end of the week before, you know that this is one of my, I call it my go-to strategy. I really like to play the bounce plays. Normally, I will get 15 to 20 alerts during the course of the day. As you can see, I only had two all day, and they were very early, one at 9:52 and one at 10:08. So let's just take a look at the. I actually did a few trades, but again, nothing too substantial. But let's take a look at the first one that I did, which was MDRX. And MDRX came in at the alert was at 1407 at 1008, so it was actually right here, and which happened to be the low of the day. And what I'm looking for is a pattern just like this, a whole bunch of red candles down. These are 5-minute candles down, and eventually we're looking for something that looks like it could bounce. So, I love it when it's around the whole number. So it was at 1407 here. The low here was 1408. So, it wasn't the ideal pattern for me to take it. I should have probably waited to 1415, but I hopped on board at 1411. Put my stop. Uh, I could have put it at 14, but I probably, if it had gone below 1407, I would have stopped myself out. So I had a pretty tight stop for a 1411 entry, and I sold half at 1426 and the other half at 1428. Obviously a little bit premature, but again, the volume was just so weak that I thought, well, I just wanted to take some profit, especially being the first trade of the day for me. Now, actually, it wasn't the first trade. Procter and Gamble was the first trade. Um, as I said to the room, I kind of like when I'm gone for 3 or 4 days or a week, I kind of like to take an early trade just to get my feet wet, just to get into the. It's hard to believe. I mean, I'm doing this for a few years, but even when I take 1 or 2 days off, I find that I have to take an early trade or try to take an early trade just to get back into the flow of things. So I actually took an early trade in Procter and Gamble, and I lost 3 cents on it. I just really all I had to do was what was my entry? It was for 82.45 right here, and I really just had to give it a little bit more time, and I would have made some money. But anyway, that actually was the first trade of the day. But MDRX was, in my mind, my first official trade of the day. So it turned out pretty well. The next trade was DWA DreamWorks, and DreamWorks was one that a couple in the room had been watching, and I actually took the trade at, let's see now, at 22.20. Now, this is not a great pattern, I have to admit, and I was in a bit of a chase mode on it, but I decided, well, here at this point, it broke through 22, it came back down to 20 through 22, and then back up, and then a little bit of a pullback. So I took the trade right here at 22.20. Hard to see, but I exited half at 22.40 and the other half at 22.44. You notice that we had some kind of ridiculousness going on here. This was a bunch of stocks, the same thing. I don't know exactly what happened. Bad prints, flash crash, whatever happened. I think somebody in the room got stopped out, unfortunately, because I guess it was a real print or something. But a lot of stocks had this happen right at this time, which was about 11:50 in the morning. So luckily, I was out before that happened. But you can see that it really went up a lot more, and so a big opportunity loss there. Probably should have got in right here, but I was a little bit slow in doing that. The next trade was FRC, and FRC turned out to be a loser. Now, FRC actually was a bounce play, but this is a bounce play that I'm seeing that is kind of what I'm going to call a scalp bounce play. Now, these are giving me 15-minute candles down in a row, and at that point, I was looking here. So you can see now these are five. This is a 5-minute chart, but I had a series of 15-minute candles down, and so I decided. I thought it was going to bounce right around here. 48.35 is when I took the trade, and I had a very tight stop, 48.27, and that's what I'm finding with this type of a pattern, that my stop can be really tight. Now this one, could have gone up to 48.89, so there's the first resistance area. And so at 48.35 with a tight 7 cent stop, that actually would have been a pretty nice trade had it gone even halfway up there, but it didn't do that. So I exited the trade at 48.28. Good thing that I did because it, went down all the way down to 47.90, and it's really done nothing since. So why I kind of like these is that they're showing me pretty good patterns that consolidate a little bit with tight stops. So if they do have any pop in them, the risk reward is pretty good. And it just didn't happen to work in this particular case. Now the next one was NXP. NXP was a bit of a disappointment. You can see we'd seen this in the pre-market. You can see it closed on Friday at 63.88 and it opened, well, here's the pre-market and it was all the way down to 61.56. So we had already been, a lot of us were already going to be watching this one. And now it popped up and then it came all the way down. And then I know a few probably took it in this area. I did not. Here's that flash crash or bad print section again. You see how this tail was way down, just like the MDRX was the same sort of situation. So again, something happened at this point. I'm not exactly sure what, but something happened. But watched it here, and we were watching it consolidate here. And I had said in the room that if it could get over 62, 62, 65 is actually what I said, 0.65, because I think right here is 0.64, and right here is 0.60. So I was actually planning to take this on this pretty good consolidation area if it got over 65, because it had a pretty nice gap that it could fill. Unfortunately, I didn't put, usually in something like this, I put in what I call an anticipatory trade offer and then literally put in an offer to buy at 6.66. And I didn't do that, and it blew right through there. And so I was only able to get it at 62.76, and it turned into just kind of a scalp. I sold half at 62.88, hoping that it could get through 63. It tried. It got up to 62.98, I think. And had it done that, we might have had a nice run, but it just didn't do it. So I took out the other half at 62.83. So obviously, not much, 12 cents on one and 7 cents on the other. So really nothing to speak about. But if it would have been a lot better if I got it in at 66. But anyway, didn't happen. The last trade was DG. Now I actually did do another one. When I say last trade, I did post this in the room. Pod. Let's see where it is right now. Yeah, this was really, I got in here at around 36.12, and right in this area here, but it was very low volume. I mentioned that in the room. Very low volume. That can really help you, but it can also really hurt you. And I when a stock is up like this, and let's take a look at the daily, you can see what's happening on the daily chart. It's trying to come back. Here's Friday, and now the second day, 27. I'm sorry, this is not the daily chart. Let's just get the daily on here. 1 year, 1 day. That's what I thought. It was more like this. So you can see it's trying to come back, and I thought, well, you know what? It has maybe up to 27.74, and on some of these that have low volume, and I'm talking like 150,000 shares, if it can catch a bid, these things can really run hard. Now they can really drop also. So I was really very very much aware of the bid ask on this, and I actually sold it at right at basically break even. I can see it's popped up a little bit, but for something like this, for me to really have confidence, it's got to work almost immediately, because you can just get really killed if the bid drops and then all of a sudden the ask drops, and then they can really run that elevator down. So I did take that trade, but that was just I say something that I didn't post. Well, I did post it, but I didn't want to talk about it too much because it was just a break even. Now this one was interesting. Dollar General's in this bidding war. They upped the ante with federal FDO today, so they're in the running to buy FDO. They're outbidding Dollar Tree right now, so that is why we were all watching it. You can see where it closed on Friday, 57.50, and in the pre-market it got as high as $64. So now it came back down, and it was a tough one though, because the bid ask was sort of wild. It was it just didn't really respond the way I wanted it to, because I wanted actually to get this trade around here. Probably could have taken it in this area on this candle here, but it just had so much whip that I just sort of backed off it. But towards the end of the day, now we're talking towards the power hour, you can see that here at 63.89, it popped through, got as high as up to 64.15. And so it took a bit of a risk. I thought this might have a bit of a run. You can see right now it's at 3 o'clock, power hour beginning. I thought maybe we could have a nice little run. And so I took the trade at 64.24. I sold the first half. I mentioned in the room that this was sort of into the 60s or bust. And what I meant by that was I was going to wait for the 60s, or I would basically sell at break even if it got back down there. But I was lucky again, up to 64.64, got out, and then on the way back down on this candle here, I sold the other half at 64.57, and I can see it's now below where I bought. So turned out to be a pretty nice trade for me. Again, I don't usually take trades in the last hour, but this one just looked a little too juicy for me to pass up. So that's what I did. So that's it for today. I hope that tomorrow it's a lot more significant because again the volume was very down. I did do a number of trades, but nothing really spectacular. So here again is how to get into the room, and I hope to see you in the trading room tomorrow.